Throughout our negotiations with the United States on a new trade and security relationship, the objectives of Canada's new government have been constant. First, to protect Canadian workers and their families. Second, to reinforce the competitiveness of Canadian businesses. And thirdly, to build the strongest economy in the G7. Our negotiations with the United States have been taking place as the U.S. has been in the process of fundamentally transforming all of its trading relationships.
Tonight, we begin with a major shift in global trade. The Canadian Prime Minister is acknowledging something that many countries are struggling with. The United States has rewritten the rules of the game. For decades, Washington promoted open markets. But that era is over. Now, as the Prime Minister explains, countries must buy access to the American consumer. That means paying tariffs, offering investments, and even changing domestic policies to meet U.S. demands. For Canada, the stakes are enormous. More than 70% of Canadian exports flow directly to the United States. Every change in Washington is felt instantly in Ottawa, Toronto, and across Canadian industries. That's why Canada responded quickly with its own retaliatory tariffs, designed not just to protect jobs, but to pressure the United States back to the negotiating table. And here's where Canada may actually win. By showing it is willing to fight back, Canada proves it's not just a junior partner. Retaliatory tariffs are leverage that has already pushed the U.S. to reaffirm key trade commitments. This is an important reminder that Canada, though smaller, has real bargaining power. The immediate gain: Canadian workers in vulnerable industries have a government willing to shield them. Businesses that feared being priced out by American tariffs are instead finding that Canada has carved out space for them to survive and even grow. The Prime Minister is also setting the stage for the message to come. Canada isn't simply reacting, it's positioning itself to take advantage of this new reality. When others are being squeezed, Canada is looking for opportunity.
As a result of that decision by the United States, the actual U.S. tariff rate on Canadian goods is 5.6%. Compare that to the 16% global average. That remains the lowest amongst all of the United States trading partners. And more than 85% of Canada-US trade is now tariff-free.
The numbers here tell the story. Canadian goods face an average U.S. tariff of 5.6%. That's compared to the global average of 16%. Put simply, Canadian exporters enjoy the lowest barriers of any U.S. trade partner in the world. And it doesn't stop there. More than 85% of all Canada-US trade is tariff-free. That means most products moving across the border, cars, machinery, farm goods, energy, face no extra costs at all. So what does Canada win from this? Competitiveness. A Canadian manufacturer can ship auto parts into Detroit at lower cost than a rival in Germany or South Korea. A Canadian farmer can sell crops in Chicago without the tariff headaches faced by exporters in South America. This is a massive advantage in the single biggest consumer market on Earth. It also strengthens Canada's role as a gateway. Global companies know that investing in Canada often means easier access to the US. That draws foreign investment into Canadian plants, Canadian jobs, and Canadian infrastructure. The Prime Minister is blunt. Canada has the best deal with the United States. It's not identical to the free trade integration of the past, but it is superior to what any other nation currently enjoys. And this matters politically. At a time when global protectionism is rising, Canadians can see that their government has secured a deal that gives them a unique edge. The game here is clear. Canadian businesses are shielded from the kind of tariffs that are hammering competitors elsewhere. That translates into jobs at home, growth in exports, and stronger bargaining power on the world stage.
I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA. This decision will take effect, September 1st of this year. So in short, the situation we're in now is that Canada and the United States have reestablished free trade for the vast majority of our goods. Canada will retain our tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos, as we work intensively with the United States to resolve the issues there. Indeed, our focus is squarely on these strategic sectors and the future.
The message here is balance. Canada is opening up, but not giving up everything. By September 1st, tariffs on many U.S. goods will be lifted, restoring a wide zone of free trade. For Canadian consumers, that means cheaper American imports. For businesses, it means easier cross-border supply chains. But Ottawa is drawing a red line on steel, aluminum, and autos. These industries are too important to leave exposed. They provide tens of thousands of jobs. They are pillars of Canadian exports. And as the Prime Minister notes, they are strategic sectors. Keeping tariffs here is about more than economics. Steel and aluminum are essential for national defense. Autos are crucial for Ontario's industrial heartland. By keeping these tariffs, Canada preserves leverage in negotiations and ensures that workers in these sectors are not sacrificed. What does Canada win here? First, consumers benefit from cheaper goods where tariffs are lifted. Second, workers in key industries know they remain protected. And third, the government holds bargaining chips for future talks with Washington. This is a reminder that trade deals are never just about numbers. They are about strategy. Canada has secured openness where it helps and protection where it matters most.
The Canadian government will soon announce a new comprehensive industrial strategy that protects Canadian jobs, boosts Canadian competitiveness, buys Canadian goods, and diversifies Canadian exports. In parallel, we are focused on building our strength here at home, building Canada strong. The Canadian government will soon select the first in a series of new nation-building projects that will connect and transform our economy. We will catalyze investment and create higher-paying careers through our new defense industrial strategy. We'll transform Canadian strategic sectors that are being severely impacted by U.S. trade. We'll work to double the pace of home building in Canada, and in the process, create a new Canadian housing industry. And we will develop new and stronger partnerships throughout the world.
The Prime Minister shifts here from trade diplomacy to domestic policy. The message is simple. Canada cannot only rely on foreign negotiations. It must also build strength at home. First is a comprehensive industrial strategy. That means the government will actively support Canadian industries, protect jobs, and push competitiveness. Instead of letting markets alone decide, Ottawa will target investment into areas where Canada can win. Second is nation-building projects. These large-scale infrastructure efforts will transform the economy, attract investment, and create new jobs. Think of railways in the 19th century or highways in the 20th century. The goal is to repeat that kind of transformation for the 21st century. Third is the housing push. Doubling the pace of home building is a major political promise. Housing is one of the toughest issues facing Canadian families. Linking trade wins to home affordability shows that the benefits are not just abstract numbers, but real improvements in people's lives. The win for Canada? A stronger economy that doesn't just depend on exports. In short, this is about converting trade advantages into domestic strength.
As I've emphasized in recent months, that steady process of integration is now over. And as a result, some of our historic strengths have become vulnerabilities. We can and must adapt to this new reality. That means concentrating on trade, investment, and security partnerships that preserve our sovereignty. And it means striking new trade deals that are robust to different economic circumstances, different governments, because of the mutual benefits to both countries. In all these ways, Canada will move from reliance to resilience, building our strength at home, developing new markets abroad, creating new opportunities for Canadian workers and businesses as we build the strongest economy in the G7.
Canada is moving from reliance to resilience. For decades, integration with the United States was seen as a strength, but the Prime Minister says that integration is now over. Why? Because dependence has become dangerous. One policy change in Washington can shake the Canadian economy overnight. The solution? Resilience. That means diversifying exports beyond the United States, building partnerships with Europe, Asia, and new markets in Africa. It means strengthening supply chains inside Canada so that disruptions abroad don't bring industries to a halt. It means trade agreements that are robust no matter which government is in power. What does Canada win here? Stability, independence, and the ability to chart its own course even when global conditions change. By shifting to resilience, Canada protects workers, secures sovereignty, and builds credibility as a G7 leader. The final note is optimistic. Canada is not just reacting to US pressure. It is using this moment to build the strongest, most resilient economy in the G7. That is the promise to Canadian workers, businesses, and families.